Hello, Toss Online Works here, and today we're going to talk about my most favouriteest thing that we use here at Tots Online Works, and that is, well, you clicked on the video, you guessed it, hemp. No, that's not actually hemp lime shiv, the stuff we use. It's actually from sweepings up. And the reason why I haven't got any to show you is I'm actually waiting on delivery of hemp lime shiv, so I thought I would do what all builders do with downtime and drink tea and talk bollocks. So, hemp. When I say hemp, it may conjure up an image of sort of chap that has insufferably long hair and lives in a van, doesn't wear shoes, sort of fella. But that's a stereotype, and it's not particularly authentic, let's say, to the wonderful lineage that this stuff has in traditional buildings and its potential eco-sustainable future use. Now, what I've got to compare it to is rock wool, and it's not particularly a fair comparison, but it's sort of the only insulation I had in the back of the van. So, when we talk about that stereotype about the barefooted chap, you could counter that by saying, well, you wouldn't usually imagine your big burly builder as being particularly sustainably minded. But what I'm going to highlight with this comparison is how this is one of those very rare occasions in life where everybody wins. Well, not everybody wins. Nobody can win all of the time, that wouldn't be fair. But it's certainly one of those examples where, if it's framed in the right way, and that's what I'm going to try and do in this instance, and please bear in mind that I obviously have a bias. This is one thing that I don't really like about the internet, is people, oh, it's amazing, everybody wins all of the time, yada yada. I'm going to try and outline the negatives and why one's good in certain instances and why one's bad in certain instances. But the overarching point that I'm trying to make is that this can, I guess, bring together two people you wouldn't necessarily associate as getting on. So, hemp lime shiv that we use, is effectively the stalk of the plant. So the male plant grows, the leaves get harvested, and they go off to make t-shirts for students, and the shiv, the sort of waste product, is sent to us, and we use it to help insulate and help combat shrinkage. If you watch the other video that we did on how to mix lime plaster, you'll know that lime over a certain period shrinks. So if you put something in the middle of it, when it shrinks, it helps combat that shrinkage. So that's how we use it. The reason why it's particularly insulating is because it has a naturally occurring open pore structure, and that allows heat to absorb into it. Very good. This is mineral wool. It's not exactly a straight comparison, but you'll kind of get the point I'm trying to make. It's wool that is spun from minerals. Minerals is stuff that's in the ground. The majority of it, I believe, is waste product, so it certainly has some beneficial value there. However, it's, what would you say, produced by large corporations. Lots of the minerals, lots of the processing equipment, all that kind of stuff tends to be a lot more imported, let's say. So we have two different products. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain our product that I'm particularly biased to, and explain it in a more traditional way, and then explain it in a more sustainable way, and you'll hopefully realise that it's the same end point, different paths, but same end point. So, British farming is in the news a lot. British farms are struggling. Well, this is grown right here in the United Kingdom on British farms. It's processed in Britain. The amount of stuff that you can make from the hemp plant is nigh on endless. We can make oils, we can make lubricants, we can make plasters, we can make paper, we can make clothes, we can make all these wonderful products that I believe is an incredibly wasted opportunity in this country for us to start a second industrial revolution, but one that is symbiotic with British farming and British craft practices. Why on earth we aren't investing more heavily into this to replace the oil sector, I don't know. Well, I do know, because they're run by big corporations, yada. It's an excellent carbon sink. You put it in the ground, it sucks carbon in, and it keeps it there. It doesn't degenerate the soil to a greater degree as a lot of other stuff does. It is a weed. Yes, that's where you get that word from. It'll grow just about anywhere. I think it grows in North Korea and all. So, it's incredibly easy to, well, it'll grow just about anywhere. It's a very robust plant. It's a carbon sink, and it can make just about everything that we are dependent on importing, right? So, we can make everything we need right here. Not carbon neutral, but certainly a heck of a lot less carbon than we produce doing it other way. Cotton, for example. You know, paper, those types of things. So you've got this fantastic product that could spark a green industrial revolution in this country that's been completely overlooked by more modern building products, because they have the what would you say, the waste fallacy. Well, we produce this much crap, so then the waste that we produce, we then turn it into this, and yada 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 yada. That's not what I would class as eco. I would say that we'd be better off investing in growing hemp, for example, than, I don't know, mining minerals to make mineral wool. But, you know, scaling is another problem that we might come into on a different day, but it's certainly feasible, or at the very least, we could certainly take a step in the right direction. So we've got a carbon sink that makes just about everything from lube paper to grease for tractors that's just not being utilised. You could argue that the stereotypical sort of stigmas that are attached to it aren't helping. You could argue that the government's got vested interests in other arrangements, yada yada yada. But it is it's most definitely a sustainable, viable, long-term option. So that's the, let's say, eco presentation. Now let's present it in a traditional way. The decks of the Victory, the ship, you know, the Age of Sail and all that stuff, had hemp rope on it. Hemp rope, hemp in general, has had a historical precedent for a very, 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 very long time, because it's a hardy plant that grows just about anywhere. So, if you've got this thing that you can make, let's say traditionally, before the government mandated every little bit of our life and what we can use where and when and all that good stuff, what you'd be able to do is have an area of your village, your garden or whatever, that would effectively be able to produce a hell of a lot of stuff that you needed. Papers, clothes, rope, all that good stuff. Fuel to a certain extent. So, when we're presented with the sort of eco image of a modern Britain, we're presented with solar panels and wind farms and things, and well, you know, okay, we do need to make power. However, the one thing that I do want to what we should be saying from the, let's say, traditionalist faction is, well, we've got this thing that's got a huge historical precedent that can be grown right here in Britain with, on British farms, supporting British farmers, which are certainly in the news a lot at the minute, and it's been completely overlooked by government bureaucracy. Why is the modern government limiting what we can use, traditional products that we've used for a very, very long time? It could support British industry. It does support British industry. This stuff that we get in is, I guess, thrashed in local thrashers, or however it's done. But I know it's done pretty much on site. And there's a literal handful of hemp farms in the UK because you have to have a special stupid licence from the government. So we've got this product here that tends to be associated with a certain faction that's actually got a fantastic historical precedent behind it, and there should be more people who want to back British products, who want to back British industry and British farms, British tradespeople standing behind this, but we don't do it. So if we were to reform the, I don't know if the laws or licenses around this stuff, we certainly could increase production of a lot of the things that we need right here, instead of having to import them from other places and supporting their economies. So there you go. An example where if we were to reject the modern, let's say, government standards of what's eco and embrace traditional eco products, we'd actually find ourselves in much more of a healthy place as a country, because we'd be able to support British farmers, that support British industry, that support British tradespeople. Why is the eco option importing stuff from a million miles away? I don't think some of this stuff isn't imported, but you get the point I'm trying to make. Instead of outsourcing our problems to somewhere else and funding their economies, which is producing carbon, which requires more petrol, oil production to facilitate the transportation, why don't we just grow it in his back gardens? So there you go. The same argument presented in two different ways, which when you reach the conclusion is the same place. So that's our thoughts on hemp and some other stuff. If you like the video, let us know below, leave a like, a comment and subscribe. Thanks for watching.